both the Obasanjo interregnum and the Shagari contraption contrived the foundation of the structural adjustment program, the programmatic base of neoliberalism, where private people will own all public assets and individuals will be on their own. And our children will be confronted with, government can't give you a job, go and be an employer of labor. And universities are teaching entrepreneurship. And professors are teaching entrepreneurship who have no enterprise, who have never really had any enterprise. Actually, when Obasanjo launched his campaign, both Yakubu Danjuma and Babangida contributed like 100 million apiece publicly, and these are reported in the in the media. In fact, Danjuma said if Obasanjo loses this election, in 1999, he was going to emigrate, that he won't be able to live in Nigeria. Again, this was publicly published all over the place. Okay, so that's how Obasanjo came and totally changed the landscape of our country. In fact, nobody more than Obasanjo changed the total landscape and morality of public purpose or anti-public purpose in our country. Installed Umaru Yar'Adua, installed Jonathan, and installed Buhari. So that it's now like the ambassador plenipotentiary. He went to where to go and I think is it Burkina Faso or Guinea-Bissau? So incidentally, that was the role that Abubakar Abdusalami also was playing for Obasanjo, and so it's the same outfit that. And so, concerning the foundationality of Obasanjo's return in 1999 to the 1979 scene of the crimes of the Nigerian ruling class, Alechi Roma, president of Nigeria Labour Congress in the 1980s, asserted in an NLC publication, and I quote, "When the champion of unprecedented roguery came in 1999 under General Obasanjo, the only remaining aspect of SAP to be fully implemented, i.e. privatization, came in full swing. Not only parastatals, but also government properties and houses were purchased by a cabal. Pump price of petrol products were raised not less than 8 times during the 8 years of Obasanjo's administration. A rather comprehensive apprehension of what we call the neoliberal siege on Nigeria is recommended for all those who really want to move away from the selective and tendentious narratives of the Nigerian crisis that we are confronted with by various factions of the Nigerian ruling class and their so-called political parties and the media today. I don't know any comprehensive Labour response to Obasanjo's, or Labour Party response to Obasanjo's 8 years of destroying our country, and that's what's still going on. That's what the Nigerian ruling class is trying to repaint and rehabilitate. The Labour movement under this alleged democracy. In what ways have the conditions of working people and the masses of the Nigerian people changed for the better in the last 15 years or so? Apart from the increasing hunger, insecurity, unemployment, and general surrender to hopelessness, the constant economic demands by the NLC and the civil society groups, and like an increased minimum wage, opposition to the regulation of the downstream sector and so on, show that the current democratic, what they call democratic dispensation, are dispensed with the welfare and future of the Nigerian people. And beyond those immediate demands of the NLC and the civil society organizations, the general decay in education and rural production sectors, in the quality of roads and environment, in power supply, in healthcare delivery, services and so on, was a dominant feature. It's a dominant feature of the present. And in spite of the half-hearted protests against fuel strike and casualization of labor under Obasanjo, and of course the raising of the minimum wage in the public sector, NSC was not able to prevent the loss of jobs due to retrenchment, collapse of industries, and the general looting, which they call privatization, because that is really what it is. And again, I don't know any publication of any organization that try to address this. We try to address this again, what we call the siege, the neoliberal siege on Nigeria, where we show that what Obasanjo did was to institutionalize looting, and that's what they are carrying on. $12 billion was handed over to our alleged debtors for debts the size of which we didn't know. And they celebrated it. America is the biggest debtor nation in the world. America cannot pay $1 billion to anybody of the creditors. Instead, what they do is they raise what they call their debt ceiling so that they can owe more. You know? But these people handed over $12 billion in what Chinwezu called a treasonable scam. That in a decent country, Obasanjo and Ngozi and that whole crowd should be tried for treason. Because it means almost everything will die when you pay that kind of alleged debt. And as for democracy itself, the dispensation has simply turned out to be a blackmail, as we said. Media reports have shown that even Obasanjo's kingsmen, the Yoruba, who were opposed to his emergence in 1999, started negotiating with him. They didn't tell us this. In fact, so Adebise Olabise Akonde, or whatever the name, Akonde, the one who was a governor of Osun State, he was the person who came and said they actually negotiated with Obasanjo. That if he allowed them to retain the Southwest, they were going to support him. But they didn't tell us that at the beginning. They said they were supporting Abiola, this and that. But they didn't confess to Nigerians until it got too late that they were on Obasanjo's side. And Obasanjo already seized the Southwest from them. Except maybe Lagos at that time. And to show again the consensus among the Nigerians, I don't know whether you know, Buhari, Abdusalami Abubakar, Atiku, I think, and one other person, they went to the 10th anniversary of Abacha's death in Kano and declared that Abacha didn't steal anybody's money. It was in public. Yeah. I mean, just to let you know the character of these continuities. It is significant that Nigeria's working people have suffered more direct and more sustained attack under post-Abacha democracy than at any other time. Every segment of the Nigerian generation of working people is under siege. The able-bodied are under siege, pensioners are under siege. The people who should get employment, who are just leaving school, are under siege. And we exemplify concretely some of this stage with the Pensions Act of 2004, in which the money of workers was just handed over to layabouts who then go and form what they call pension administration organizations. I mean, brand new rich people were just created overnight by, and again, largely federal government workers are the victims, because those are the ones they are able to easily control. And of course, various other labor acts, which further demobilize and incapacitate labor in this political context. Because I know that most people who are sitting here are the people who fought for democracy. They were the people on the streets, especially between 1986 and 1998. We were the people on the streets. Some of our children from universities were shot on the streets. Some went to prison. Many of us went to prison for this democracy. How many of those people are now elected on the platform of any party, or are senators, or are going to be ministers, or are in Aso Rock itself? All of them were somewhere. Some of them went to America, you know, and formed all kinds of organizations there, and so on and so forth. So we see a monkey, they walk back on the job situation. Again, you know, the hunter's dog kills an animal, the hunter just takes it from the animal. These are some of the questions that we raise. We may also raise a myriad of supplementary questions. Who are those who presided over the collapse of public institutions and the utilities? And who are those people buying the same privatized public assets? Who are the fuel marketers and importers? Who are their friends and political allies? Who own the private schools and universities? Who own the oil blocks? Who are the major contractors and consultants? Who are the prospective buyers of the unity schools that Ezekwesili was trying to sell? Who was buying government buildings on Osborne Road and the privatized government houses at Abuja, Ibadan, Enugu, Kaduna, Lagos, and so on? Why have public bureaucracies become the major protagonists of the liquidation of public business and the handing over of public properties to the so-called private sector? When you hear the General Secretary, the Executive Secretary of NUC talk about how great private universities are, you will think that Okonjo was employed by the owners of private universities. And this is is an employee of federal government to oversee the development of tertiary education. Every day is how private universities are going to overtake the public ones. It's at the mercy of the employer. Private schools teachers are not allowed to unionize. You are a lecturer, you got a PhD, whatever you get, you go to some private university, you want to work there. The first condition is that you cannot join a school. Students are not even allowed to have student unions in the private universities. As I'm speaking to you now, there are graduate teachers that are not earning up to 10,000 naira in secondary schools across the country. In Abuja, as bad as Abuja is, graduate teachers in private organizations, they are not allowed to join UT. That is one of the strategic things about privatization. How to go about it may really be the problem. And the problems of the past are many. First, there is lack of faith, even on our front line, in the need for painstaking and meticulous organization and educational work among the oppressed. And there are many people. I have suggested to the NLC at the national headquarters, because I work with them. When I was in Abuja, I just walk into the NLC and say, look, is there anything we can do? I will work with them. When I was in Bauchi in 1982, I just walked to Gombe Road. I met a young man called Yusuf Zambu. And for 1 year, we were walking all over Bauchi. And all of that. So there are people who will do this work. And we are not looking for posts. Our students are there in all the places where universities are, who want a new society. If we want to build labor support groups in all these places, they are there. I have made, in 2011, I gave the keynote address to NDC in Abuja, National Delegates Corps, and I made this point there. It's a difficult work, but it has to be done. Otherwise, when you go to campaign to people, they will just be asking you like they're asking the ruler which kind of money you now bring. Because our people's consciousness have been messed up by the ruling class. And we cannot just change it by saying we are labor. And so you are labor. And I propose a minimum program for what we have to do. And it's on page 23 of my submission. And I say in broad outline, the following from the heritage of Nigeria's nationalist movement and the 2002 Benin Declaration, the vision of the proposed liberation movement must be guided by 3 central commitments. The first is commitment to a united Nigeria with a united people who are genuinely sovereign and reinstate the agenda of independence and anti-imperialism. The second is commitment to an economic order in which the welfare of the people is the primary goal, in which the resources of our land and the exploitation and allocation are under the full control of the toiling people, thus immediately enabling the minimum of a welfare state and incremental socialization of the major means of production, distribution and exchange. The third commitment of the movement will be the pursuit of a social and cultural policy that promotes cultural freedom and solidarity among our people and frees their minds from superstitions, from ethnic and confessional prejudices. Carrying out these tasks scientifically, conscientiously, and combining revolutionary speed and patience is the condition for ensuring that our movement does not keep handing over the fruits of the struggles of our movement to the ever-present conspiracy of political opportunities in our ranks and the class enemies of the toilers. But to activate this potential, certain problems need to be overcome. One, all our organizations, these are some of my proposals, all of our organizations that are capable of building solidarity among Nigerian people need to be rebuilt or reinvented. And this includes organizations like the Nigeria Labour Congress. The Nigeria Labour Congress need to be reinvented and rebuilt. The trade unions are claiming too much of this, what they call jurisdiction. So nurses are in struggle. Teachers are not even visiting them. Teachers are going through struggle. Medical and health people are not visiting them and showing solidarity. NSC has no newspaper. Everybody has a radio. Now Akala has a radio. Omishore has one. In Ogbomoso, the only thing you can listen to is Akala's radio. And people listen because they use it to completely subvert their whatever. And it goes not just in Ogbomoso, it goes to Osogbo, it reaches Osogbo. And it's all over the place. Like that. We have no radio. We have nothing. What does it take NSC to start a radio? Or Labour Party to start a radio? Or a newspaper? I mean, really? But they are not. Nobody has more than level 6 in NASU. The NASU president is on level 20 or something. I'm sorry, NASU general secretary. That's why we have no general secretary in NASU. Because We know that general secretaries just take over unions. So all of these things we really need to add. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm whatever, but the Yoruba people say, the Yoruba people say, if two brothers or two sisters or relatives enter a room to discuss serious matter, and they come out of the room smiling, you must know that they didn't tell each other truth. But if everybody is angry when they come out, you know that inside the room, some truth transpires. So, this thing need to be addressed. And we are not addressing it outsiders. NSC is our baby. I don't want to boast about this now. It's our baby, all of us. It doesn't belong to anybody. Even this Labour Party, it's our baby that some people seized from us. Impression that if poor people will be praying that there should be all this problem, so NGOs can continue to exist. So we need to move from this NGOism. You know, the question of amount of resources also, as many people think that we cannot have an organization without plenty of money. It's a lie. In fact, money can become a problem inside organizations because opportunities will take over. That's what happened to us in some of the mass organizations. CD, CDHR, we ran into problem because of money. And a lot of the work we did in CD, we did without a couple. We could put people in to go and do work, and they would do it without a couple because of the level of consciousness that people reach. All those organizations collapse when the... So we need to go beyond all of that. Labor support committee in all the large towns, in university towns and so on. If there are 5 people in each of these, there is so much they can do. You won't believe what we did in the past. 5 people in Ife, 10 in Osogbo, another 20 or so in Lagos that are committed to what we are saying. Linking up the trade unions, empathizing with them, supporting them, even if they don't have money. In another year, we are going to be talking of a totally different labor movement.